Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and today we're doing another Drinkin and Thinkin with Zell. So, once the intro starts, you've got 9 seconds to get your drink of choice, and I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, today we're talking about the piece of hardware that allows you to open the knife, whether it's a blade hole, a thumb stud, a flipper tab, a nail nick, whatever. What is your favorite method? We've got thumb studs, like we have on this Rat 1 here. They seem to work just fine. We have blade holes, like we have on this Stage 5. They seem to work just fine too. And we have flippers, like on this 0452 from Zero Tolerance. And where do you fall on this? I'll fill you in on where I fall. I like them all. The only thing I don't like is the one we haven't talked about yet, and that is the nail nick. And on a knife that I'm going to carry and use all day, I don't want a nail nick. I'm not going to carry a case trapper. Beautiful knives. I appreciate them for what they are, and I understand why people collect them. They are some very, very beautiful knives. But, will one of these float in my pocket? Well, maybe, and it has, but it's not going to be the knife I pull out of my pocket regularly to get something done, because it doesn't open easily, doesn't open one-handed, and they generally don't close one-handed either. So, I do carry small Swiss Army knives and stuff like that, but not for my main EDC knife. I like all the other methods, so flippers, thumb holes, thumb studs. As long as they're well placed, I like them. However, things have as many knives as I put my hands on anymore. Whenever I'm carrying an EDC knife, just for me, I'm not doing anything for a review or whatnot, there are two knives that really rise to the top, and it's because of their opening mechanism or the items they have on them to assist in me opening them. And that's the Spyder Mantra and the Buck Marksman. And it's the same reason for both knives. Got a Spyder hole here, so if I've had a Spyder in my hands all day, I can pick up the Mantra and there's no relearning. It opens right away whenever I put my hand around the knife. If I've had a 0452 in my pocket or some other knife that only opens with a flipper for a few days, pick up the Mantra, it's got a flipper. So I'm covered. I don't have to continually relearn things or remind myself which knife I have in my pocket. Same thing with the Buck Marksman. I've got a flipper tab. You do have to remember that you have the bottle opener on the back of it, and I've got the blade hole. And both of them have very, very good actions. The Buck's is amazing. It's I still don't think I've seen an action as good as what Buck has on this Marksman, and it has a lot to do with the locking mechanism, but everyone else out there should pay attention to this, and Buck, you should be making some more of this kind of stuff. Anyhow, the Mantra, it doesn't have quite as good an action, but it's still pretty darn good. And because both those knives will open in both ways, it makes it easy for me, and that's what it's all about. And even if I've been carrying a thumb stud knife like this 710, which, man, the axis lock makes this thing fun to carry because big old blade, you can get it flicked out there and then you can get it put away pretty quick. But if I've been sticking my thumb on that thumb stud all day, whenever I pick up this Mantra, I put my finger in the same place to get that thumb stud and I get the blade hole. And open the knife is. So that's kind of my opinion on it. If I was pressed hard and you guys, put the screws to me and said, all right, which one is your favorite? I would just have to say that by a mild margin, it'd be the Spyder hole. And it'd be the Spyder hole just because it's easy to use. There's so many different ways to use it. You take any Spyder you put your hand on it, and it's right there. It's, it doesn't matter which one you pick up. They all work the same. And it just makes things easy. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you've been using a thumb stud knife. As soon as you pick up the Spyder you put your thumb in the same place, and you can open the blade. So that would be, I suppose, if you press me, that's what I would say. Now, before we get into our second subject, I'd like to talk a little bit about this mug. It's a Joveo mug. It's actually called a Tim Perfect mug. I put some money down on this on Kickstarter like 3 years and some odd months ago, and I just received it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And if you guys would like me to do a little review of this or something, I will. I may, even if you don't want me to. But it's got some neat tech in it that I don't think you can get anywhere else. And I don't know what their future plans are. I know that they're patenting the technology that's in the mug, and I say tech that's in the mug. Well, it really is. It's just a mug, but it does have some real neat technology in it. And another thing I'd like to talk about are the quick reviews. I've had some questions about those, and I want to just explain why they're there. The quick reviews are there for the person who either has a short attention span or doesn't, or they're trying to get information about a particular knife. Say they're looking for the 0450 and they've already seen 12 videos, or they know they're going to watch 12 videos and one of mine's up first. Okay, well, if you've got a 2 or 3 minute video on it, it's a lot easier for that person to digest. And there are some people that are simply looking for this knife in action. Something besides seeing the knife in static pictures on one of the knife websites or on Amazon or something. So that's what those videos are for. However, because I have time constraints on the full reviews, which I kind of do, to keep those videos viable and to get views on those videos, I got to keep them between 10 and 15 minutes. And that's even kind of long, but it seems to work out fairly well. So because I have those constraints on those videos as well, I have to sometimes not give all the little nuggets that I would like to give about a particular knife or other piece of gear. So if that happens, I try to go to whenever I do the quick video, I try to stick that little nugget in there, 1 or 2 or whatever I've got. And that's for you guys. That's for those of you that have been watching the videos. And that way, whenever you watch the quick video, you don't just have a constant rehash of what I said the week before or 2 weeks before. So I'm attempting to make it good for everybody. And if you have any suggestions, of course, leave them in the comments. Let me know. And now, moving on to our second subject. We talked about how we get the knife open with the flippers and the thumb studs, thumb holes, etc. What type of opening mechanism, whenever I say mechanism, I'm talking about the pivot and any other hardware that might be inside the knife to assist you in getting it open. Are you a manual knife guy? Are you an assisted opener guy? Or an automatic guy? We've got assisted openers. They're pretty neat. They let you get that blade out of there in a hurry. Once you break over the tension with the flipper or the thumb studs on this knife, knife opens right up, just like it was an automatic. And it has the added bonus that spring holds this knife closed and makes for a pretty safe knife. And then we have automatic knives. And automatics are interesting. They're under spring tension all the time. And what that means is, whenever you push this button, we got a little silver button there, push the button, knife opens. Now, whenever I push that button, and once it's open, that button pops out some, and you're locked. Now, I've got to push that button again to close the knife, but it's under spring tension. And because it's under spring tension, it's not terribly easy to close. It doesn't matter, this Gerber's the same way. And anyhow, automatics though, what do you think? I'm not a huge fan of automatics, but they have their place, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. And then we have manual knives, and manual knives have taken leaps and bounds in recent history. Used to, your manual knife was something like this case sodbuster. You had to pull it open with both hands, had to use both hands to close it. It didn't have a lock. It was kind of a pain to use. But now we've got things like, say this Benchmade Griptilian 550 HG. I can get that thing open and closed faster than an automatic or a speed safe. But, not all manuals are like that, but they have come a long way. We got our 0450, and man, that thing opens like it's a freaking automatic or an assisted. It just fires hard out of there. And we've got our Buck Marksman, same thing. That action is so positive. It fires out just like it's an automatic or assisted knife. And so do actions like these negate the need for an automatic or negate the need for an assisted opening knife? Or are you in that camp where you love the assisted opening knife or you love the automatic knife? Because I know Kershaw sells a gazillion knives a year, and almost all of them are assisted. And I completely understand it. It is nice to know that whenever you push down on that tab, that knife is going to fly right out of there. And there's another piece that many people miss whenever we're talking about assisted and automatic knives. Now, I want to know what your opinion is, but I got to throw this nugget in there too. There are people out there that have problems with their hands. Don't have the manual dexterity to take this knife and overcome that detent and flick it out. Or they don't have the manual dexterity to take this Cali and roll it out and get it closed with one hand, or two hands for that matter. So that's where the speed safe and the automatic knife comes in. Most people can overcome the, I've measured some of these on a trigger pull gauge, and they usually come in somewhere between 6 and 10 pounds of pressure. Depends on the knife and the size of the blade and some other factors, tension on the pivot. But many of these people can overcome that. They can get a speed safe knife open, and then by using two hands, they can get it closed. Same thing with an automatic. Yeah. On the outside automatics, with people with manual dexterity problems with their hands, I don't know if that's such a good idea, because if you watch the video on this one coming up, it is very easy whenever you've got a spring this tough for that knife to fly right out of your hand. Watch the video. Anyhow, but the thing is, if you got an out the front instead of the out the side, you slide the little lever up, blade flies out. You slide the little lever back, blade retracts itself. Makes it easy for somebody with manual dexterity problems to get that blade put away. But before you go down in the comments beating on the automatic knives, remember, these knives also serve our law enforcement, militaries, and whatnot. And some of those guys are loaded down with so much equipment that I can completely understand that they want a single button and it opens. I can fully understand that. If I were in their shoes, I would get an out the front. It's one of the LE style out the fronts. But I understand the want for that right there. Because if you've got gun in one hand, taser in the other hand, body camera on your forehead, and all this other crazy stuff that they make law enforcement carry around these days, one less thing to have to worry about is always good. All right, guys, so down in the comments, let's share what our favorite opening device is. You know, the thumb hole, the thumb stud, the flipper. Or do you want a combination of both? And also, let's share what our favorite opening mechanism is. Speed safe, automatic, or manual. Or if there's something else out there, stick that in there too. Or any combinations, you know, share what you, like. I really like this one. It's manual, it's got a blade hole in it, and it's got a flipper. So it's kind of a mismatch of everything. So anyhow, comment below, keep it civil, and I really appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out with me for a few minutes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and there's probably a subscribe thing right there. And there might be something right there too, I'm not sure. Anyhow, you all have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.